Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in to the Fantasy Roundup. I'm your host, Spencer the Guru Urquhart, counting y'all down. This is it. This is the last week that we have to wait. It is here. Football season, y'all. Real NFL football. Just a couple of days away, Gabe. How excited are you, man?
I'm pumped, Spencer. We're 2 days away. Got to get all my fantasy lineups in order. Been looking at that today. Make sure everything's good to go. And yeah, really excited.
100%, man. Yeah, really excited to see it because I've got at least 16 fantasy lineups this year. Got a Guru Squad number 16 ready to go tonight for our listener league. Shout out to all the listeners and most definitely ready to get it going. We've been preparing all these months here with y'all on the fantasy roundup, and it's time for the real thing. Enough talk, enough speculation. It's time to put the players on the field. They take the field and put up the numbers that we love to evaluate each week. And yeah, it's about to happen. So we'll start this thing off by getting to our headlines. Thank you to everyone here. Troy Thibodeau up in here. He's in our listener league. Shout out to all the listeners out there. And before we get to our listener league lineup, we're going to shout out all 12 or 10 listeners, because myself and Gabe are in the league. So it'll be 10 listeners going up against us to see who can take home the prize from our sponsor, Caesar Sportsbook. Shout out to our sponsor, Caesars. Make sure to head on over there for all your wagering needs. But as far as fantasy, they've also are in on that and have partnered with us to give away 2 free Saints tickets, Week 18 home against the Falcons for whoever can either win the league or be the highest finishing listener. But let's lay out our headlines here before we get too deep into it. Travis Kelce, the big elephant in the room, y'all. Travis Kelce, for those that have drafted already and have him on your roster, be prepared. And you might have to make a switch at tight end. He hyperextended his knee today, highly questionable now for week 1. So keep a close eye on Travis Kelce's status. Gabe and I are going to break that down further here in just a little bit. Cooper Kupp, so he's a specialist for his hamstring, which is now, I believe, the second or third time he's injured that thing this offseason. Remains day to day. And for those that have been listening to us for a while, y'all would have known to stay away from Cooper Kupp. He was coming off a season-ending ankle injury, and it just more injuries are popping up. He's over 30 years old, I believe. He's just not someone I was targeting. Glad I don't have to worry about that. Don't have him in any leagues. But for those that do have Kupp, we'll break down what you should do moving forward. Terry McLaurin, Jerry Jeudy, Jackson Smith, and Jigba all remain highly questionable for week 1. Pretty sure JSN is going to be out. He's a rookie. He's probably not going to risk it. Jeudy and McLaurin, though, are veterans there. They might go week 1, but we'll break that down as far as should you roster them start them week 1 and how you should feel about rostering them moving forward. And finally, some good news, y'all. Joe Burrow expected to be ready to start week 1 coming off that calf injury that he suffered earlier in the offseason. So a lot of bad news. Usually if your name pops up in the headlines at this time, it's not good. But for Joe Burrow, it's good because it looks like he's going to be ready to go.
Yeah, Joe Burrow looks ready. He said it on his social media the other day. Posted that infamous picture of him in the Matthew Dellavedova jersey and said, "We're back."
Yeah.
So
Yep. Oh, yeah.
excited
He's
for
going
that.
to be. Yes, he will be back. And Troy's going to be on the record to say Tyreek Hill will be the best wide receiver in the NFL this year, fantasy-wise. Okay. I could see it. He's in my top 3. He's
Yeah,
in my top 3, so I could see Tyreek doing really well. Don't know if he'll top Jefferson or Chase, but should be right there. Definitely a first-round pick. And, our defending champs in the building, Bucktown Rebel. Shout out to Roy, the defending champ. And good timing, Roy, because we're actually about to get into our listener league lineup here. Shout out all 12 or all 10 listeners plus myself and Gabe here in this league, which is going to be really fun. Glad we got it to be a 12-teamer this year. 12-team PPR. Bumped it up a little bit for the quarterbacks. 5 points for a passing touchdown. So the QB is a little more valuable this year. Last year we had a lot of ugly, low-scoring games. I feel like a lot of that had to do with the lack of quarterback points. So we're going to make the quarterbacks a little more relevant this year. So, yeah, appreciate all y'all that got in on that. Yeah, Hank Trill's in it. Shout out to Hank Trill. And so, yeah, let's get into it. Let's go over our listeners here. myself and Gabe, the co-commissioners of this thing, we've been playing fantasy for many years. We're experienced. We know what we're doing, but I know a lot of you guys are as well here in this league. There's going to be a lot of fun. We'll shout out one of our returning members first, Uncle Big Nick. Uncle Big Nick had kind of a down year last year, but he's ready to run it back with us this year. That dude studies fantasy night and day. So shout out to Uncle Big Nick. He's going to be a challenger this year for sure. One of our newer members here, Bayou Bandits. Shout out to Joseph, the Bayou Bandits. Team Fishbach, I believe that is Mike. Shout out to Mike, one of our newcomers. Bucktown Rebel, Roy, defending champ, returning. I'm so glad you're returning, Roy, because there weren't too many returning members, unfortunately, but Bucktown Rebel he's back to defending champ. But I know a lot of our new members are going to do really well. I'm on a roll. I know who Salmon's targeting. I'm on a roll. I'm on Raw. I'm guessing he wants, but never know how the draft will play out. We'll see if he can get his guy there. Bomb Squad, Troy Thibodeau, who's up in here. Another new member, new to the league. Let's have fun. Yes, sir. And yeah, Hank Trill down there. Philip, Latino Heat. Team Latino Heat. Shout out to Hank Trill. As well as Lockdown Lat. Shout out to Cameron. Team Weaver. Shout out to William. And, of course, the OG Saints fan. So we've got a stacked lineup here, y'all. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, yeah, Gabe, I'm just ready to get this thing going and see what everyone's got, because not everyone can finish up front, but I know this draft tonight is going to be really competitive.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're in a few leagues together this year, but I think this one's the one I'm looking forward to most.
Yeah, man, because it's just a new cast of characters. Like a lot of leagues, I've played with the same group. I know their draft strategies. I know their tendencies. But this league, pretty much all new people, outside of Troy and the OG Saints fan. There's not too many people I've played with before, because even though we just started, we've been doing the show together now for a while, but as far as playing in leagues together, it is our first year. So it's going to be – I know you love your running backs early, so
we'll see.
I remember in your Dynasty startup, but in our Dynasty startup, the one with Justin, shout out to Justin from Fantasy Follow. But yeah, anyone that's got week one questions, we're here to answer them. I've been going over the schedule. So anyone with week one questions, feel free to drop them in. Injury concerns, DFS, lineup dilemmas, season-long lineup dilemmas, whatever you have, let us know. We'll get you right here on the Fantasy Roundup, presented by Caesar Sportsbook, official odds partner of bet.nola.com.
Let me just say this, Spencer. I'm pleading to the ESPN AI that generates the draft order to not have me pick 12th. I have picked dead last in 4 of my drafts this year. That's half my. I'm in 8 leagues, not as many as you. I'm in 8. Half of my drafts I have picked dead last. And let me just tell you, from someone who picked 14th in my latest draft, it is not fun. Please give me somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we're just going to let the AI do it. Maybe next year we'll have time where I can draw it live, but we're kind of in a time crunch today. Got all kind of other betting stuff to take care of, college football lines and such. Going to make my college football picks tomorrow. For those that are into that, go check that out. So we're juggling it all here, fantasy betting. That's what we do here at bet.nola.com. So, but let's get back on the fantasy train here. Travis Kelce. Unfortunately, hyperextended his knee today and is now questionable because it's a Thursday game. They're the season opening game, Lions and Chiefs. So, with this news, he's highly questionable for Thursday. Highly questionable.
Yeah, I think Ian Rappaport said doubtful.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, doubtful, highly questionable. However you want to slice it, it's not looking good, because if Kelce doesn't go, one, that hurts Patrick Mahomes and just the whole Chiefs offense. But, for especially those who drafted Kelce, it's like, if you drafted Kelce, you weren't worried about a backup tight end, because this dude plays every game. I think he's only missed, like, one game the past 5 years, and it was because of COVID protocols. Right. Like, if it wasn't for that, he'd played every game.
Yeah, if you're a Travis Kelce owner, you probably don't even have a backup tight end. You for that 1 week that he's on bye, you probably play the waivers and just let Kelce sit there for the rest of the year, as you should. But, yeah, now you've got to start looking elsewhere for this week.
Yep. Yeah, definitely need to. If you have Kelce, definitely at the very least go pick one up. for now. We'll get to that in a little bit here. Got a couple comments here. Troy thinks this injury will nag Kelce all year long. He's not getting any younger. Ooh, man, that's a kind of negative take as far as him going forward. I agree. Obviously, he's not getting any younger. I agree with that. He's over 30. He's at an age where he could be more injury prone. But his history, though, he's just always had a good health history. For someone his age, he's had an extremely good bill of health. And Hank saying, oof, is Noah Gray a man to pick up? I would think so, but we don't really know. To me, there's probably more options with upside, I would say. I feel like this thing really helps Sky Moore. I was getting on my dad the other day about drafting Sky Moore high in the league, but if Kelce's out, to me, Sky Moore is probably the biggest beneficiary. Him and then Kadarius Toney, but he's banged up, so Sky Moore is the one that's probably going to be getting a lot of those over the middle routes, so he'll probably see the most targets if I had to guess.
Yeah, I think the one person this really helps, Spencer, is Isaiah Pacheco. I think he's going to get a lot more carries because obviously we're taking away the biggest weapon for Patrick Mahomes. So what do you do in that situation? You play it conservatively and you run the ball, especially with a wide receiver core that is questionable without Kelce.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, Jerick McKinnon. Jerick McKinnon's probably going to see a lot of receiving work. He sees already a decent amount, but now if Kelce's out, then yeah, he'll, I'm sure, be more involved. And but yeah, as far as Kelce being a first-round pick still, it'll be interesting to see. I know a lot of y'all have already drafted, but I mean, our listener league goes tonight. So I know some of y'all still have drafts. So as far as him being a first-round pick, I'm going to say, oh, man, it's so tough. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he falls to the second. But if he falls, I don't know where I'm going to pick tonight. But if he falls to me in the second, I'm still taking him. I don't think this injury is going to be enough of a concern to scare me away from him being a first. But for him being a second. But to me, and then Hank's with me, yeah, I won't take him in the first tonight. Yeah, I don't think I don't think we have enough clarity yet on the injury to take him in the first. Because this could, shout out to Fantasy Docs on Instagram. He was saying that this injury is most likely just a minor hyperextension that's probably going to just sideline him a week. But he said there's a chance that it could be an injury that lingers for like multiple weeks. He might be out. If it's that worst case scenario, he might miss the first 3 to 4 weeks. And in that case, it's like, it's not worth a first-round pick. Because he'll come back, I'm sure, and be good. But if you miss 3 to 4 weeks of production, you can't take someone in the first round.
Yeah, I think he's a late first-rounder still. I'd still be willing to take him. Everything I've seen has said the Chiefs believe this is a minor injury. And we mentioned Travis Kelce's injury history earlier. If I'm in those later spots, I might take him. But I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. I think he's still a first-rounder, though. I don't think he'll be out that long based on all the information we have. And obviously, he's the best tight end in the game and one of the best pass catchers in the game. So, yeah, I don't see him falling past the first round.
For sure. Well, if you get 12 again, Gabe, you might get blessed with Kelce.
Yeah, we'll see, Spencer. I mean, as contradictory as this sounds, I don't know if I'd take him at 12. But
you're at 13 then. There you go.
Yeah,
you got 13, him in the second round. Yep. So, yeah, I think early second round is where I'm taking him tonight if he would fall to me there. If I even get an early second round pick, because lately I've been getting a lot of early picks this year. So the odds say I'm probably going to get a later pick tonight. But I've been getting lucky, and it's one of those things you just it's random. Some years you'll just get lucky, and other years you won't, and it's just But as far as viable backups, looking at who are some viable backups, there's just the tight end position is just such a wasteland. Like some people were saying they were glad that their league has switched to tight ends just being flexes and just doing away with the position. But I feel like it's enough pass catchers, though, to keep the position in 12-team leagues. I could see maybe doing away with it in like 14 or 16-man leagues. But 10 and 12-man leagues, I feel like there's enough to have the position still. But anyway, back to this topic here. Some viable backups for this week. Depending on who's out there, I feel like Hayden Hurst could be someone. I'll get to him more. He's a DFS guy for me, but he's just someone that is a good matchup going against Atlanta. And Bryce Young, I feel like doesn't really have any go-to receivers right now. He doesn't really have a receiver that I feel like just gonna be someone that he can really lean on. So I feel like Hayden Hurst could be a potential sleeper there. And then depending on how the new Chargers offense shakes out, I think Gerald Everett could be a potential sleeper play, being that Kellen Moore's offense has tended to feature tight ends, and I think that's going to be a shootout against the Dolphins, Troy's Dolphins. So I think that's going to be a high-scoring affair to where Everett could be an option. I know he's probably rostered in a little more leagues than Hurst. So if you're in a deeper league, probably Hurst. If you're in a shallower league, Everett. Because to me, Noah Gray, I'll let you give yours, Gabe, here. Noah Gray, I don't know. To me, he's got to show me something. I'm not messing with him this week.
Yeah, if I'm in agreement there, I'm not touching Noah Gray either. Usually, you see guys like Dalton Schultz or Chico Conquell who are on the waiver wire.
Oh, yeah.
Or even yeah, I'm just, I'm not touching I'm not touching Noah Gray, and maybe even Greg Dulcich in 10-team leagues, maybe a 12 if you're lucky and no one took him. But yeah, I'm looking at those three guys, or it depends on the waiver wire. I'm not touching Noah Gray, though.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then speaking of the rookie tight ends, Hank's asking about Dalton Kincaid. I'm personally fading Dalton Kincaid this week. He's got a tough matchup against the Jets. Plus, we're not sure how he's going to be used early on. If I had to use a rookie tight end, shoot, you could just pivot to the other tight end in the Thursday matchup, Sam Laporta, rookie for the Lions. I think he could be involved there, and it's probably going to be a shootout there. Lions, Chiefs, two high-powered offenses. So I feel like Sam Laporta is another good sleeper option.
I agree.
So do y'all think it's better to mix your players over multiple leagues or try to target the same main guys? Makes it more of an all or none strategy. I usually mix it up. I'm in so many leagues, so it'd be almost impossible for me to get the same player in every league. But I feel like it's better overall to diversify.
Yeah, for sure. It's never good when you put, too many chips in one bag.
Yeah, for sure. And then it actually wasn't much trading last year, but yeah, I'd love to see more trading. I'd make it more spicy. We could recap each trade that goes down each week. So yeah, y'all. I know, Troy does love the trade. So, but you gotta make fair offers, man. You can't be coming at us with whack offers. So, but if we get good offers, then yeah, we'll be wheeling and dealing in this thing.
I always accept trade offers. So anyone listening that's in the listener league, go ahead and shoot me offers anytime you see fit.
Yeah, for sure. And it's one of those things. If the initial offer, some people get mad, the initial offer sucks. It's like, well, it's a negotiation process. So the initial offer sucks. Don't take it personal. Just negotiate, send a couple back and forth, and hopefully find a middle ground.
Yeah, unless it's egregious, I'll always send you a counter.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, that's the Travis Kelce situation. Unfortunate news there, but hopefully it's just a minor injury. And I'll still, if he falls in this draft, I'll gladly take him in a discount. So let's move on to Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp, day-to-day. Sean McVay saying he's day-to-day. I'm not really sure if I'm buying that because he had to go fly up to Minnesota to see a specialist. And that just, whenever you hear that, you get worried. So not feeling good about Cooper Kupp. Haven't been feeling good about him all offseason. I moved him up a little bit in my rankings prior to this because I felt like I was maybe disrespecting him a tad, but I didn't move him up. I stood my ground. I did not put him in the top 5. I was like, Cooper Kupp is not a top 5 wide receiver this year. And now he's, at this point, I don't even know if he's in my top 20 because with this news, it's like we don't know how long he's going to be out. They say day-to-day. That might be more like week to week. I mean, we're going to get more clarity tomorrow, according to Sean McVay. He said Wednesday there'll be another update, but I don't know what to believe or trust here. I'm not touching him. I mean, he's to me, even if I don't think there's any way he does play week 1, but if they'd rush him back, I wouldn't start him because, I mean, he'd probably pull it again or something. I mean, I'd probably say Kelce, I'd probably would say is more. Well, even Kelce for week 1 is probably more on the doubtful side. Kupp, I would definitely say is doubtful if I had to guess. And I wouldn't even trust him the first 2 or 3 weeks. I wouldn't probably feel good about him until like week 4 or 5 at the earliest.
Yeah, in terms of the questions you have here, is Kupp worth starting week 1? I don't think he's going to play.
Yeah.
I think we're in the same boat there. Even though he's listed day to day, I don't think there's any way he plays. And if he does, I think that's really, really short sighted by the Rams.
I don't think they're that stupid.
Yeah, in terms of where should he be drafted, if you've listened to the Fantasy Roundup show this offseason, Spencer and I will tell you he shouldn't be, by you at least. Let the other people in your league take him and take one of the receivers with higher upside. I'm not touching the Rams offense no matter what. Maybe Cam Akers, but that's it. No one else on that team is even worth taking a flyer on, including Cooper Kupp, especially with the injuries.
Mm-hmm. Let's get a sports spotlight. Shout out to him for tuning in. He had a question for us. I'm in a PPR league, 3 wide receivers. I have Tyreek, Amon-Ra, and Christian Kirk. Someone offered me Kupp for Amon-Ra straight up. Is it worth it? Hell no. Hell no. Keep Amon-Ra, bro. Keep Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra's a stud, man, and he's just getting better. Cooper Kupp trending down, Amon-Ra trending up. Even before the injury, I had Amon-Ra over Cooper Kupp. That was one of my hot takes like way back in like June. So I feel like that take's looking pretty good now. And yeah, I don't even know if I'd do Christian Kirk for Kupp at this point. So
no, if your name isn't Jefferson or Jamar, don't even try and come in get Amon-Ra from me, because you're not getting him for anything other than those two.
Yeah, I mean, Amon-Ra could easily be a top 5 wide receiver. So yeah, stand your ground there. If you think Cooper Kupp can bounce back, maybe offer him Christian Kirk, because they might be desperate. They might just want a healthy body to where they might just be like, all right, fine. But I probably just wouldn't even mess with it, because I think it's
go ahead.
As far as where he should be drafted, had my $100 all-in experts league on Sunday, and he fell, I believe it was to the 5th round of a 12-team league. And so at this point, I'd almost put him in Jonathan Taylor territory. I probably wouldn't touch him to like the 7th round. I had done that piece on Jonathan Taylor, and to me, early 7th was the earliest I'd target him. I kind of feel the same with Cooper Kupp, maybe late 6th if I'm feeling frisky. But to me, when you've got this much risk attached, I can't do it. I mean, there's so many other players out there that have upside and also are going to be out there week 1. Like, I'd rather have a healthy roster. And then if I'm going to take someone risky like that, I don't want it to be until the middle rounds.
Yeah, these day-to-day hamstring injuries are the worst, because, it wouldn't be a surprise to see him suit up in week 2. But then on the flip side, it wouldn't be a surprise to see the Rams say, you know what, he needs surgery. Let's shut him down for the year, because he is 30 years old and we're going to be bad this year anyway. So I don't know. It's questions need answering, and I don't want to be the one waiting around for them to be answered. I don't want to be someone waiting until tomorrow's Sean McVay update. I'm fading Cooper Kupp completely.
I agree. And obviously, Troy, hopefully no one would be that stupid. Tyreek Hill for Kupp, my goodness.
I wouldn't if I'm honest, I wouldn't touch that receiving core with Kirk, Amon-Ra, and Tyreek Hill. I think that's probably
that's a nice receiving
core that league's gonna have. I wouldn't do anything to it.
Right. Shout out to Uncle Big Nick. He's up in here. Now, yes, you did miss it, but we can pull up the listener list again real quick. These are our 10 listeners here, our challengers. Shout out to everyone up in here. You being one of 3 returning members. So we've got 7 new challengers this year. So yeah, shout out to everyone in our listener league, brought to you by Caesars. So yeah, definitely excited for that tonight. Draft going down at 6:00. Might have some live commentary after. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun to see how that all shakes out. And one more Kupp question here before we move on to the next segment. Would you trade Kupp for Ridley? Hell no. I actually had that decision on Sunday before we got this latest Kupp update. At that point, Kupp wasn't looking quite as down bad, where I was like, should I take him? It was the 4th round. I was like, damn, he's falling. I was like, well, Ridley's there, because I hadn't had a receiver yet. My first 3 picks It was super flex. It was who were they? I think I went back-to-back quarterbacks in that thing. I had Burrow. No, wait, was this the third round? I forgot what. Yeah, it was the third round. It was Burrow and Saquon were my first two. Actually, I think Kupp went in the fourth round of this one because I had Burrow and Saquon, and Kupp a lot of times would go about in the late second, early third. I was like, damn, Kupp's falling a little bit. Maybe I'll take a chance. But I was like, you know what? I'm not messing with that. I'm staying in my ground. I've been off a Kupp all off season. I'm going to stick to my guns and take Calvin Ridley, someone who I've been high on all off season. So definitely wouldn't do that trade now because I've been on the Ridley train now for a while, and then definitely Garrett Wilson too. And Garrett Wilson's someone that I also really like. I've got him as a second rounder in most leagues. So yeah, definitely go with the guys that are trending up, like Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Ridley, Olave, Waddle, Devontae Smith. I'd take all those guys over Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
So yeah, well, definitely an interesting dilemma there because yeah, Cooper Kupp, it's one of those things though. If you do get lucky and he happens to come back and stays healthy, then you got yourself a bargain. But I just don't see it being that simple. I feel like he's gonna miss games throughout the year, and it's just gonna be a big pain. Kind of like Jonathan Taylor, same boat.
Yeah, it's one of those things where hamstrings are pesky injuries. So even if he does come back early, we could see him tweak it in that same game a few weeks later in practice. It's one of those things where once you hit that 30 years old kind of threshold and you get these recurring injuries, I'm out on you. I'm not even just down, I'm out.
Yeah, I gotta say, like Julio Jones. I mean, this reminded me of Julio Jones, and we all know how that went. It was, I mean, he'd have good games every now and then, but he definitely wasn't a reliable season-long options. But speaking of more injuries here, before we move on to DFS, Scary Terry McLaurin, Jerry Jeudy, both dealing with injuries. Thankfully, both of these guys are a little bit younger, so hopefully their bodies respond quicker. But still concerning, though, because Terry McLaurin's dealing with the dreaded turf toe, an injury that tends to linger for weeks. He suffered it, though, already multiple. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, so he's had multiple weeks, but still highly questionable for week one. Same with Jerry Jeudy, suffered. It was like a mid-level hamstring injury, so not code red, but still pretty concerning, though, enough to where he's also questionable. So it's one of those things. When I see these guys on the board, a lot of times they slip. But to me, the question is it worth the risk, considering both of these types of injuries tend to linger?
I think it really depends on where. I think McLaurin is more worth the risk than Jeudy. But it seems like Denver might be playing this Jerry Jeudy situation smart. It doesn't look like he's going to play this week if I had to guess. So I would go with Terry McLaurin over the two. But once again, it just depends on where, as far as whether I'm considering them or not.
For sure. Yeah, I'm actually going to play devil's advocate here. I think I'd slightly prefer Jeudy because with Jeudy, I think when he comes back, I think he's going to still be the number one receiver, whereas Terry McLaurin, I think, could lose that role to Jahan Dotson. If Jahan Dotson comes in guns a-blazing, has a couple big weeks to start, McLaurin might, I mean, he'll still do okay, but he might not be the number one there as consistently as he had been with Sam Howell now, the new quarterback. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned. And then turf toe is just a dreaded injury. I just, when I see turf toe, I tend to just stay away completely. But the thing with Scary Terry, kind of like with Kelce, he's been an Iron Man. He's hardly missed a game in his career. So because of his good health history, I'd maybe still take a chance on him in the mid rounds, whereas Judy's had a lot of injuries already throughout his career. I just like Judy's situation because who else is going to step up over there? Cortland Sutton isn't that great. Marvin Mims is just a rookie, and outside of them, Tim Patrick's injured. Like they're very thin at receiver, so they might have to get Jeudy back in there a little quicker than they would like.
Yeah, that's fair.
And but I can see your point though about McLaurin because I think with McLaurin, It's one of those things. Him and Dotson should be able to thrive. I'm just concerned with the turf toe that might kind of sap his explosiveness. And then with Judy, I think when Judy's out there, he'll be good. It's probably a little more risk of re-injury, but I feel like it's one of those things that, like, I think it might not hurt him quite as much right when he comes back.
Yeah, I think these guys are both two excellent receivers, but you know how, I mean, I talked on hamstrings a little bit ago with Cooper Kupp, especially with the deep threat like Jerry Jeudy, who really utilizes his speed to beat DBs. They're both great recurring injury risk, though.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say 8th, 9th round would be a good sweet spot for those guys. You're getting value at that point. If you take them 6th, 7th, it's like, I mean, I wouldn't say you're an idiot, but you're kind of reaching a little bit considering there's a chance they both miss at least the first 2 to 3 weeks. And Bucktown has a question for us. How'd y'all do overall last year in DFS, DraftKings, or FanDuel preferred? How come we don't have Underdog in Louisiana? Well, I'm not sure with Underdog. Never really played Underdog before. I've heard it's a lot of fun, though. So I'll have to look more into that. We'll get back to that next week. But as far as DraftKings and FanDuel, they're about the same. I guess DraftKings, my preferred one. That's the one I tend to use just because it's there. It's convenient. And last year I did pretty good. Going to be doing my DFS picks column again that I did last year, and as well as yardage props. So gonna keep that going. Didn't really do a whole lot of lineups last year, so I'm not exactly sure. I focused more on the betting side of things last year as far as those like daily contents. For fantasy, I focused my efforts more on season long, but I think I'm gonna try a little more with DFS this year. I didn't, like I said, I didn't set enough lineups to really I wasn't really keeping track of a record and profit margin for that, but I was keeping track of my column, how my picks were doing and such, and they seem to be doing pretty well, especially receivers. I was really good at finding value at receiver last year, so yeah, we'll have more on that for sure. How'd you do it, Gabe? Did you do it much? Well, you're in Texas, so you are kind of stuck out there, not being able to. I'm guessing.
Bouncing around from state to state, don't really play DFS, especially last year.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then Troy's down on Russell Wilson. I mean, Sean Payton's there now, so hopefully he can make that offense somewhat fantasy relevant because, last year was a dumpster fire. But even with that last year, Jerry Jeudy improved in the second half. I mean, the second half, Jeudy was at least like a flex with WR2 upside.
And Sutton was worth a flex in the first half of last year.
Yeah, he fell off. Yeah, it kind of might be a similar script this year. Sutton might start off good, and then when Jeudy gets healthier, he'll take over.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson will rebound, though. I think he'll be better this year.
Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, he can't be any worse. I mean, last year he was bottom tier. Right? He was one of 5 worst quarterbacks. So I feel like he can at least be mid-tier this year.
When you're at rock bottom, Spencer, the only way to go is up. So good news for Russell Wilson.
For sure. So let's speaking of DFS, let's turn the page here. Got some DFS values for y'all. But I was looking to get into that. I got Justin Herbert as my quarterback play this week. Maybe a tad pricey at 6,900, but he's a decent amount cheaper than the ones up above him. And I like the matchup there against the Dolphins, who without Jalen Ramsey, their pass defense might be a little vulnerable to start the season. And then Herbert versus Tua, I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. So wanting players in that matchup. For my running back, Jahmyr Gibbs on Thursday night, I think is going to go off in that matchup because without – oh, man, I was going to have a big sneeze there. Sorry about that. Without Jameson Williams, they're going to need a vertical receiving threat. And so Amon-Ra is going to get his, but he's mainly a slot guy. Going to kick out wide a little bit here and there, but Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, is going to be a guy that he's going to get a few carries and a lot of targets. So between his total touches, I think will be that of a workhorse, even though Montgomery's going to be seeing more rushing attempts. I think Gibbs could see 6, 8, maybe even 10 targets in this matchup because I think it's going to be a shootout. And to me, at 6,100, you're getting a lot of value on someone that's got potential to rack up receptions, maybe score a touchdown or two, and then get a lot of yards from scrimmage. So I'm really feeling Gibbs this week. Chris Olave, 6,500. I couldn't believe Olave was this cheap because the Titans last year had the worst pass defense, or at least the worst defense against receivers. Like they ranked 32nd against the receiver position, and they improved their secondary a tad, but not much. I think they may have added like one or two guys where it's still going to be a rough secondary. Their run defense is the strength of their defense. So the Saints, I think, are going to be airing it out here. It'll be in the dome. So I think Olave gets a few bombs there, and then also is going to get a lot of targets. So I think he's going to get both the volume and the efficiency. And then Hayden Hurst, mentioned him earlier, value tight end play. Bryce Young just doesn't really have many reliable options. Plus, it's a juicy matchup against the Falcons defense. And that's on the rise, but still kind of vulnerable, and was pretty vulnerable against the tight end position last year.
Yeah, I'd be lying to you, Spencer, if I told you I didn't consider the first three guys with my picks. I kind of felt you'd go with Olave, so that's kind of why I stayed away with my picks. But I do like all of your picks here, especially Hayden Hurst. I didn't even see him on the board so low.
Yeah, so I didn't really like any of the higher price tight ends. I was like, you know what, let me go bargain hunting here because of you. I mean, I didn't. A lot of these. I mean, Herbert, Gibbs, Olave, I like them, but they're all over 6,000. So if you take all them, you're probably gonna have to do some bargain hunting to fill out the rest of the spots. And so to me, Hayden Hurst is a perfect example of how you can get a bargain at tight end and have the rest of your positions be pretty solid.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And no vampire leagues. I've heard of those, but I don't play those.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. Haven't gotten my friends to come around to it quite yet, but I would love to do one. I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah, I know a Fantasy Football Hustler does a few of those, but yeah, I never have done that. That's the where you can like take a player from the low or the highest team or something.
Yeah, it's one team's gotta build a team completely from the waiver wire, and if they beat
that's what that is. Okay. The waiver wire team. Okay. Yeah, because they also had the thing where you can steal a player.
Well, yeah, if you get beat by the vampire team, they get to take a player from your team.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, okay. Yeah, makes sense. So, all right, let's cap it off with Gabe's DFS plays here. Take it away.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to carve up the Colts early and often, and at 6,500, that's a pretty decent price for a quarterback. I believe just a tick below what your value was there, Spencer, with Justin Herbert. Jamal Williams, I think, is going to absolutely carve up. I know you mentioned the Titans having good rush defense. I think Jamal Williams is going to get some touchdowns. I think once they get into the red zone, he's going to be their biggest weapon. And I think at 5,700 for a guy who's definitely going to be the starting running back for the Saints week 1, there's some really good value there. So I thought there was a bargain. Amari Cooper, I was shocked that he was this low. Listen, I know the Bengals have a really good defense. They've lost a few pieces there. And I think, as much as I like to slander Deshaun Watson, I think he's going to come out and he's got a really good connection with Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper is destined to get maybe 6+ catches. He's going to get his for sure. Looking maybe 100-yard game. And then Chico Okonkwo with the Titans. Spencer, you mentioned bargain hunting. That's exactly what you get here with Chico Okonkwo. I don't quite think the Titans receiving core is healthy. They've got DeAndre Hopkins, who always gets his, but I think he's going to be the main focal point. So, if you're Ryan Tannehill, you look at a guy like Okonkwo, who was really good toward the back half of last year. I know it wasn't with Tannehill at quarterback, but, that's another emerging weapon you've got in the offense. And for only 3,800, like you mentioned earlier, it gives you a chance to maybe splurge elsewhere.
For sure. Yeah, because, the Saints defense is pretty good against tight ends. But, yeah, if Treylon Burks isn't healthy and if Lattimore's locking down DeAndre Hopkins, or it could even be a double team on DeAndre Hopkins, someone else is going to have to catch passes. And, it could be Okonkwo because, they just don't really have much else over there. So, yeah, I like the Cooper play. I think that could be a high-scoring game, Bengals-Browns. I like that one. And it can't dog Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Trevor Lawrence. That's just, 6,500 against the Colts. Like, Colts defense isn't totally terrible, but it's just, yeah, it's not that great either. So he should do well. Jamal Williams, though, go ahead.
I was going to say, this is the best receiving core Trevor Lawrence has ever had in the pros, and he's got another year under Peterson in that offense. I think he's going to thrive.
Yeah. And then Jamal Williams, this is one of those ones you got to hope he finds the end zone. Don't see him racking up a lot of yards against that tough Titans front, but if he finds the end zone or time or two, well, there you go. We don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's what we're banking on.
Yes, sir. And Cameron in here. I have a couple friends at work who absolutely vouch for Vampire Leagues, said they love it, looking to play more. Lockdown Lat, new viewer and loving the show. Appreciate you tuning in, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah, good luck in the draft tonight. I know he's one of our challengers.
Can't wait. Really looking forward to it.
Yes, indeed. Who's this? Molo. If I trade Kittle, what tight end should I trade him for? I don't know. I mean, as far as equal value, I mean, T.J. Hawkinson, Darren Waller, those are about in the. Those would be the only ones I would say would be an even swap. I mean, if you're gonna downgrade, I could say Pat Fryermuth and a bench player, Dallas Goedert and a bench player. But to me, unless it's a lateral move, you got to ask for more. And then if you're wanting like Andrews or Kelce, then you're gonna have to give up more than just Kittle. So, yeah, it's.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I like the Fryermuth shout. I'm not as high on Kittle as other people are this year. I think if you're going to downgrade, though, as Spencer mentioned, you have to upgrade in another position because there's a big drop off between guys like Kittle and the next best thing at the tight end position. It's just so thin in terms of consistent performers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, Kittle, even though he's not quite as good as he used to be, he's still one of the top 5 options at the position. So you definitely don't want to sell low. Gotta get fair value when making these trades. So I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Appreciate everyone that tuned in. Any final thoughts, Gabe, before we close out?
No, just can't wait. Looking forward to seeing where I draft in 15 minutes. And once again, pleading with the ESPN AI to not give me the last pick.
Right, yeah, it's not far away, y'all. And we'll show it one more time. Our listener league lineup here: 12 challengers, only 1 champion. And good news for the listeners, even if either me or Gabe are the champion and highest finishing listener gets the tickets. But I know you guys are gunning to knock us off our high horse. So it's gonna be a lot of competition. It's gonna be a wild draft, fun draft. Can't wait to get into it. Yeah, we'll know where we all pick at 5 o'clock. So we're gonna keep y'all posted on that and then have the draft at 6. So this will do it for this episode of Fantasy Roundup. Once again, thank you for everyone that tuned in. We'll have our week 1 recap. Feels crazy to say that. Week 1 recap next week. And as well as our week 2 preview. So it's here, y'all. It is here. For Spencer the Guru and Gabe Henderson, this has been Fantasy Roundup. Peace.